Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're really getting into the weeds of criminal liability.
That's right. We're looking at something specific in Article 14, Paragraph 1.
Yeah, the aggravating circumstance of taking advantage of one's public position,
Yeah.
our mission, to kind of unpack what that actually means in practice.
And it really boils down to a betrayal of trust, doesn't it? The law sees it as, well, more perverse when someone uses the power given to them by the public.
That commit a crime.
Exactly. Using that influence, that prestige, or just the simple access their job gives them.
So the core question, and this comes from an old case, U.S. versus Rodriguez, seems to be, did the accused abuse his office in order to commit the crime?
That's the crux of it. Was the office the means or just, incidental?
Okay, so condition 1, offender is a public officer. That's clear.
Yep.
Condition 2, they have to use that position, that capacity, as the way to actually pull off the crime. There needs to be a link.
A direct link.
Right.
The court needs to see how the office facilitated the crime.
Let's make this concrete. Remember the People versus Ural case? The policeman on guard duty.
Oh, yeah. Grim one. He maltreated a prisoner.
And the aggravating circumstance applied? Why?
Well, because being on duty, being that specific officer at that time, gave him access. He had custody. He could get into the cell.
He used the function of his job.
Precisely. He couldn't have done it, or not easily, without being in that specific role right then.
Okay, so that's direct functional access. But you mentioned it can also be about perceived authority.
Absolutely. It doesn't have to be physical access. Look at U.S. versus Torta.
The counselor and the dead animals.
Right. He told people to report animal deaths, then collected these, fake fines and kept the money.
And that was aggravated.
Yes, because people paid him because he was a counselor. They believed he had the authority, the right to demand that money due to his position. He leveraged the public's perception of his office.
Okay, that makes sense. Exploiting the idea of authority. But then, where's the line? When is a public officer just acting like anyone else, committing a crime totally separate from their job?
That's the critical distinction. The circumstance does not apply if the officer commits a common crime, something independent of their official functions. They're acting purely in a private capacity.
Like that Dikuki case, the counselor buying tax certificates, the cedulas.
Exactly. People asked him, sort of privately, to get these cedulas for them. He took the money, pocketed it.
But he wasn't using his counselor powers?
No, he was acting like a go-between, a private agent. His official influence wasn't the lever used to get the money or deceive anyone in that specific transaction.
Okay. And this connects to the Villamore ruling too, right? Just because a cop uses their service weapon.
Right. That's not automatically abusive position. The court said, you need more.
Wait, that seems counterintuitive. A government gun?
But think about it. Could someone else, not a cop, have committed a similar crime with any gun? If yes, then the position wasn't necessarily the means. Was the fact he was a cop essential to accessing the victim, or cornering them, or getting away with it because he was a cop? If not,
then it's just a crime committed by a person who happens to be a cop, using a tool they happen to have access to. The position wasn't the weapon itself.
You got it. The position has to be the specific leverage. Proof is needed.
Okay. So final piece. What about crimes where abusing the position is baked into the definition already?
Yeah, that's the last big exception. You can't apply this aggregating circumstance to offenses where taking advantage of position is already an element of the crime itself.
Like malversation.
Malversation, certain types of falsification by public officers. The law defining those crimes already assumes and requires the abuse of office.
You can't double count it.
Exactly. It's already factored into the nature and penalty of that specific crime.
So wrapping this up, the real takeaway seems to be, did the offender use the public trust, the access, the authority as the tool? Did they weaponize their role?
That's the core question. It's about whether they corrupted the very function or perception of their office to make the crime happen.
Which leaves us, and you listening, with this thought. When a public officer breaks the law, are they just a criminal who happens to wear a uniform or hold an office?
Or did the power and trust of that office actively enable the crime? That difference between incidental background and instrumental tool is everything here. It's the line between a crime and a deeper betrayal.